And so, welcome everyone. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all the happy Festivus, whatever holiday you celebrate. I am really excited. This is one of my favorite times of the year. For me, I really look forward to this week between Christmas and New Year's. It's a tradition going back 20 years. So I'm really excited to have you here tonight. If you're just joining, we're trying to get an idea of who's on the call. If you would, type in the city that you're from in the chat, and also type in if you're a coach, a client, or a guest. I would really appreciate that. And I'm sure your coach, if you're a guest or a client, put your coach's name in there so we can thank them and you can thank them for inviting you tonight. There's a couple of logistics before we get started. I wanted to make sure that if everyone didn't already get their copy of the worksheet, there's two versions. There's a generic worksheet, which is for clients and guests. And then there's a specific one that is for health coaches. I'm going to paste the links in here if you don't already have it in the chat. In the chat, you'll see two links. The first one is the generic worksheet for clients and guests. If you need it, grab it real quick. You're going to need it. If you're a coach and you didn't get your worksheet, there it is right there. The other thing you're going to want to have is you're going to have a recorder. One of the cool things about your iPhone, if you have an iPhone, or your smartphone, I think pretty much all smartphones do this, but check this out. There is a way for you, let me show you something real quick, really cool little feature on Zoom. If you didn't know, you can actually show your phone on Zoom. So you guys are now looking at my phone. And if you didn't know this, on your phone, there's a memo recorder. See that? Voice memo. And there's going to be a point in time where you're going to want to record part of this call for your own self. So if you have an iPhone or a smartphone with a voice recorder, I recommend that you get that ready and have that ready in addition to having your worksheet handy. All right. So I think that's all logistics. We're up to 73 people, so we're going to get started. Tonight I'm going to give you a quick little agenda. There's going to be a couple of things we're going to cover. First, we're going to share the 3 steps to this lifestyle design process that I've been doing for almost 20 years now. And we're also going to go through the principles and the philosophies behind it so you understand kind of why we do it and how it works. I'm also going to give you a chance to have an experience of this process, and you're going to do it with a buddy. So we're going to have a time in this call where we break into groups, and we're going to have an experience, and we're going to do it together. So that's when you're going to use your recorder. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to provide you with some structure and some accountability so that once you leave this call and you've got some clarity on your goals, you'll actually have some structure and accountability to execute and to fulfill those goals. So without any further ado, let's get started. I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint here, and we're going to go through this. All right. So just a quick little thumbs up. Everyone can hear me. Sound quality is good. Everyone can see me. Can I get some thumbs up, Karen? Good. Okay, good. Because I can only see like 4 people at a time when I'm doing share screen. All right. So we're going to get started. This is called the lifestyle design process. And I said it is a quantum leap beyond New Year's resolutions. And I'm going to talk to you about why I think New Year's resolutions are terribly ineffective, almost a waste of time. But we're going to go through this and have fun in the process. That's my goal because I really do enjoy goal setting. Again, reminders, you're going to have the recording device. We're going to need that when we get towards the middle of the call. And you're going to probably have your worksheet if you can to follow along the way. This is being recorded, so if you want to go back and review it, you're welcome to. And if someone on your team couldn't make tonight, we're going to be able to get you the link. It'll be posted in the Facebook event page, and you'll be able to get that information. So here's a show of hands. How many of you have ever felt like you're a hamster on a wheel? You're just running, and you're not getting anywhere. There was a time in my life when I felt like that, and I was not only felt like I was running in place with my finances and with my relationships and with my healthy mind, but I was trying so hard to get healthy with my body, but I was not getting any results. This is me after running 3 triathlons and dieting and exercising furiously for a year. And I was so out of balance. I was so out of control. Life kind of threw me a curveball. And I don't know if every once in a while you get thrown down, you get knocked down, something you weren't expecting hits you. But Whitney and I were both working for the same company. As a matter of fact, we got laid off after 9/11. And what happened is we went on a sabbatical. We went to Costa Rica, and I had a kind of a wake-up call. I had an insight. I had like a life-changing moment. And when I came back from that, I made a decision that I was going to change my life. I was not going to be just running through the same programs that have got me into this 50 pounds overweight, $100,000 in debt, juggling too many jobs, trying to do this, trying to do MSIs, a part-time thing here, full-time thing here, trying to do everything. And I felt like I was out of control. And I came back and I started a process with a buddy of mine. And I'm going to give you a little bit of history of the Trilogy. We've all heard, those of you that are with Optavia or have a coach or know a little bit about Take Shape for Life or Optavia, you know about this concept of the Trilogy. Well, this concept started in Costa Rica when I decided that I was going to simplify my life and I was going to focus just on 3 goals. And I came back with my buddy, Jim, and we started this company called the Happy, Healthy, Wealthy Game. And basically what it was a challenge, a 90-day challenge where we set 3 goals, a healthy goal, a wealthy goal, and a happy goal. And every day we had to take at least one action in each area. So in 90 days, that's 180 actions. And we set it up with some accountability. We had 2 things. We had prizes. Of course, we won our life back if we did the things we said we were going to do, but we also set up some rewards. We're going to go out and do this fun stuff. We're going to go out and go to dinner. We're going to go on a ski trip if we hit our goals together. But we also had this rule that if any one of us, me, Jim, or James, any one of us didn't do one of our actions, we all 3 had to do a midnight walk. We had to wake up at midnight and go for a walk on the beach or go for a walk in the neighborhood. And no one likes waking up at midnight when you don't want to. So we had this incentive, this motivation to do it. And it worked. And so I started working on this system, and I've evolved it over the years. So today I'm going to go through this process that has really helped me do what this slide says. What if there was a way to organize your life around what's most important to you? And over the years, I've been able to create a life that I feel really happy, really balanced about. And that's where we really kind of integrated that into Optavia and Take Shape for Life, is having a system that helps you have well-being, total balance, an optimal health, healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances. That's the Trilogy, the healthy body, healthy mind, and healthy finances. And so what does that mean to you? What does organizing your life around what matters most mean to you? It means something different to everyone. For some people, it's playing with their kids. For some people, it's their golden years, their retirement, what they're going to want to do and visit their grandkids and be the mobile globals. Some people love to travel and do adventures in sports like me. Everyone has things that are important to them, but what if you could organize your life around what matters most? That's what we're going to talk about tonight, how to do that. And I will tell you, one of my big lessons, I want to start with this, is in order for me to have success, I had to simplify, prioritize, and focus. And when I boiled it down, when I started off with all these balls that I was juggling, I felt constantly stressed, and I felt like I was never moving forward. But when I simplified, started to prioritize and focus, it actually got pretty fun and pretty easy. And next thing you know, I'm juggling with one hand. And I got so much space, I got so much balance that I'm actually having fun. So let me give you a possibility of what's possible and what is lifestyle design. So it says on the worksheet that lifestyle design is when you really consciously take control of your life and you design your life so that you can live your optimal lifestyle. Follow your passions, follow your dreams. And that means different things for different people. Some of us like working at home. Some of us like working on the beach. Right now, I can't see it because the sun just went down, but there's a beautiful sunset tonight here in San Diego. And a lifestyle entrepreneur, that's kind of taking it to the next level. That's when you not only create your life by setting goals and design your optimal environment to support you. But when you have a business that you love to do, so when you have a business that you love to do and you're good at doing it, that could be a hobby. But when you have a business that you love to do, you're good at doing it, and you can make money doing that, that's the sweet spot. That's when you have the optimal career. A lifestyle entrepreneur is somebody who either creates a business or aligns with a business that gives them the time freedom to do the things they love to do. So one of the things I want to ask you right now is to type in the chat, what is one thing that you absolutely love to do? It's one of your favorite things to do. And when you're doing it, you lose sense of time. You're just like in the zone. So type in the chat, what's one of your favorite things to do? Something you love to do, lifestyle-wise. So kind of going back to my story, after I got on this journey, I did end up getting healthy. I got a healthy body. I lost 50 pounds. I'm now able to surf and snowboard and do the things I love to do. I'm able to have the energy to go out and do the work I love to do. And that's helped me find a place in San Diego. This is where I live in San Diego when I'm there, usually about 1 week out of the month. It's a beach house. I'm here with my buddies. We get to go on trips. We have, fun. We get to hang out and surf together. Up in the mountains, my second dream was to always have a mountain home. So we got a house up in the mountains with 40 acres. That's my truck, and you can see a little bit of snow on the ground. And so now I'm living in the mountains part-time and on the beach part-time. And for me, it's a dream come true. There's only the trilogy for my housing, my optimal housing situation is to have a house in San Diego on the beach, a house in the mountains near the ski resorts, and a house in Hawaii. So that's on my vision board right now, is to get a house in Hawaii. That's my next goal. But I tell you what, after you've been out in the snow, you want to come and sit in a nice warm jacuzzi. There's nothing better than being an Optavia coach, making calls in a jacuzzi after a day of skiing and having fun with your friends. So that's what's possible. I wanted to just let you know that if you're willing to do the work and dedicate yourself, what is possible is very exciting. So I'm going to take a moment and talk about why I think New Year's resolutions are so ineffective. I'm going to give you 3 points. The first one is most people who set a New Year's resolution do so from pain. They look back at their year and they say, man, I didn't do the things I want to do, and they beat themselves up, and then they are trying to fix a problem. They're problem solving. And that's very different than being creative. And if you've been around Optavia or Take Shape Life, you know that there's a different way of doing motivation, and we call that structural tension. And that's intrinsic motivation. So we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. The second thing that I noticed is that most people rely on willpower, and they try to use discipline and determination and willpower. And that's a very short-term fuel. You can think of it almost like carbohydrates. It burns really fast. It takes a lot of energy and attention. But if you think about the opposite of willpower, instead of relying on willpower, which is good in short little bursts, but it's not sustainable over time, what you really need is you need to have your environments that support you. Now, there's many environments. There's up to 9 different environments. One of them would be, example would be nature. Another environment would be your relationships. Another environment would be your physical space. But here's the thing about environments versus willpower. Willpower takes conscious decision and effort. But once you take that willpower and you apply it to changing your environment, like I just invested in a stand-up desk and some new lights, and it's really changing my posture. By giving me a physical structure, it changed me from doing this, because now I have a keyboard that's separate, so I can have the right ergonomics. So I changed my environment. And now I don't have to consciously remind myself to sit up straight and do all this posture. The structure does it for me. Does that make sense? So use willpower to change your environment. Don't rely on willpower for your long term. One of those environments is, of course, your relationships, your accountability, your mentor, your support. Let me talk about the third thing that I think, and this is probably the biggest one. Most people think of a New Year's resolution as an event, not a habit, not a practice. When is and you can write this in the chat. I bet you we'll get a lot of the same answers. When do most people check in on their New Year's resolution? After they do it on January 1st, when's the next time they check in on it? I'd like to see what the chat says here. They don't. Next year, January 1st, never. That's right. Because they stick it in a drawer, right? It wasn't resolved. It wasn't really that intentional. It was like a fleeting moment. Okay, this is what everyone does. They set their New Year's resolution and then they go about their life and they get stuck in their routine. They get back on that hamster wheel, and their routine, their habits, their environment keeps them right stuck where they've been. So we're going to avoid that. We're going to talk about how can we avoid that? How can we change the rhythm? And one of the things that I think that's important to think about is nature and rhythm. And that's one of the lessons I learned when I was in Costa Rica, is that I felt disconnected from my spirit, from my higher being, my connection to the source, when I'm constantly surrounded by plastic and concrete. And you know, we are of nature. Humans are living with nature. We are part of this biosphere. We're all connected. Every plant, every time we exhale, the trees around us inhale our CO2. And every time they exhale oxygen, we inhale it. We're in relationship. And I think that a lot of people, when they set goals, what they do is this is a Tony Robbins quote. It stuck with me, and I used to work with Tony back in the day. Most people overestimate what they can do in a year, but they underestimate what they can do in a decade. And so even though today, we're going to be talking about your 1-year goal, because you can't really organize around a 5 or a 10-year goal. It's so far out there, you can't make any meaningful plans. But I want you to think about your life in terms of a decade or two. I was just on a call with one of my coaches, Andy, and we talked about this exercise called the rocking chair exercise. And the rocking chair exercise is when you ask somebody, hey, if you just keep doing what you're currently doing, the current habits, the current routines that you have for the next 20 years, and if you fast forward and see yourself on the front porch, rocking in your chair 20 years from now, will you be happy with the life you've lived? And so a lot of people, what I'm going to ask you to do is think long-term, but act short-term. So we're going to go through this process, and I want to talk about cycles of time, because a lot of people see time as linear. You know, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018. But you know what? Time is cyclical. Time moves in a spiral. Matter of fact, our whole universe moves in a spiral. Every single cell in your body, every single atom in every single cell is in motion and spinning. Just like our planet is spinning every day. Every spin is one 24-hour day. Every rotation around the sun, 365.25 days, is a year. And then we do it again. And then we do it. And then our whole solar system is not just sitting there in space spinning. If this is our sun, and there's all these planets going around our sun, all of these planets and our sun are spinning, and they're flying through space around the galaxy of the Milky Way. We are in a constant spin, constant motion. So just like the seasons, you got spring, you got summer, you got fall, you got winter, and it starts all over. It's a cycle. So you'll notice in life that things happen in cycles. And what I want to try to help us do is to align with those rhythms, align with those cycles. So when I see goal setting, it's not an event. It's a cycle that happens on an annual basis, quarterly basis, monthly basis, weekly goals, even daily goals. In the morning I wake up, I got my 3x5 card, or I got my checklist, I got my action items, and I have plans and goals for every day. And I think what that does is it gives me a sense of that I'm in control, that I'm the CEO of my life, and that I'm the one steering the ship instead of just floating down the path and letting it happen to me. All right, so before I start on the process, I want to just check in, and I want to say, are you guys ready to learn the process? If you have any questions before I move to the next section, I want to just check in real quick. Are there any questions about what we've covered so far? No? A lot of shaking the heads? No? Okay, then let's just get started. All right, here we go. Okay, so I do have a disclaimer before we jump into this. The disclaimer is this process is not for everyone. It is not for complainers or victims. This requires hard work and dedication. It is for those who are ready to take responsibility for the results in their lives, and they're ready to decide to be the CEO of their own lives. So if that's you, let's roll up our sleeves and let's design our optimal lifestyle. So the lifestyle design process has 3 steps. If you've seen the chart of the worksheet, it has review, reflect, and design. Tonight, I actually asked many of you if you had a chance to start in advance doing the review process to go ahead and do that. That can take you half an hour. It can take you a couple hours. It depends on how deep you want to go. I like to scan through my calendar, my Facebook, and my former goal sheets. Whitney and I actually have big binders where we keep all of our goals. We have goals going back 16 years, annual and quarterly goals. So it's sometimes good to go back and look at those things for the last year. And what we're going to do here is while you're reviewing this list, you're going to want to make a list of those accomplishments and highlights, and you want to capture them and write them down. And I got to say, it's really important to write things down. Now, you don't have to do this step, but I think it's a really valuable step for some of the reasons here. You get to celebrate, capture your wins, both the obvious ones and the hidden ones, because sometimes you don't realize that there's wins. I also think it's very important to check it off your list. How many of you agree that when you check something off your to-do list, you get a little boost of energy? It feels good. You get a little bit motivated, right? I've also noticed that if you don't check something off your list, it tends to run around in the back of your brain like it's incomplete, and it kind of bogs me down. It kind of keeps me from celebrating and acknowledging and gathering that win. By doing this at the end of the year, you'll probably be surprised at how much you did. And I also think it's great for you to give yourself credit and be grateful, because really what we want to do is we want to start this next step, step 2, reflect, by being in a state of gratitude. How many of you would agree that you don't want to be depressed and in a funk when you're setting your goals, right? Andy, you and I were just talking about this. I wonder if you could share a quick moment on your experience with doing this step.
We were talking about it, and the first time I did this process was back in 2014. And for me, that year was the beginning of the end of a 23-year marriage. It was a pretty crappy year. And when I sat down to do this, I was kind of in that funk that Greg was just talking about. And when I went through and I went back in the calendar to January 1st, 2014, and I went week by week, and I started listing the wins that I had that year and what probably was the worst year of my life, I filled up a page and at least a page and a half of wins. And that really did empower me to move to bring closure, like Greg was talking about, and really kind of close the year and move forward into 2015. It was that one step, while it can be kind of skipped, was super important for me, and taking that next step and kind of getting on with life. So,
awesome.
Greg, I'm going to share that a little bit.
I appreciate that, Andy. And Whitney, I know you and I were talking about, you've already started your review process. Can you share a couple of lessons or insights from that?
My pleasure, Greg. This is a fantastic process, and I can't even tell how many things I've gotten accomplished because we put this in place, because I think so fast and so much that I run down rabbit holes. So to have the structure has been powerful. And the reflecting part for me, like Andy said, is really, really important. What I did was I also went through a lot of our past. I had that binder and I went through it. And one of the things he said, if you notice that there's a pattern, I want to learn Spanish on every single one. And hablo muy poquito de español. So I have not learned a lot of Spanish. So I took it off. So just as a reflecting process, if you do this every year and you start to look at your habits and behaviors and where you're taking this, you can make the decision about what is my priority. Because that really wasn't a priority. And I learned that. And even though I kept putting it on, I realized that that's obviously not something right now that's a passion for me. And I got a lot of other things done. So I was able to give myself that credit. And I think for moms, not that men aren't doing a lot too, but I think women, with kids, when they can sit down and write out all the things that they accomplished over the year, oh my goodness, you just realize how much we get done. So I love this process, Greg. I will always do this process. It's really become a great habit. It's a habit of a healthy life. I love it.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Has anyone else can relate to having a goal that's on your list year after year, but you never get around to it and it kind of just gnaws at you? Has anyone ever had that? I think learning Spanish is the classic, or learning a new language is definitely one that's always there. But I think that sometimes it actually does make sense to just take a goal off the list if you're really not committed to it. And one way to know that you're not committed to it, because you're not doing it. It's not that important. There's other things that are more important. And give yourself permission to focus, simplify, and prioritize. It's not easy. How many of you agree it's more easy to say yes, yes, and more, and play, and then juggle, juggle, juggle? It's easy to do that. It's harder to say no. Does that make sense? But sometimes it's the best thing you can do for your own sanity is to say no to something good so you can say yes to something great. All right, let's go to the next step. Thank you for both of you sharing. So the second step is, and we're not going to do this on the call tonight. We're only going to do step 3 on the call. I'm just going to go through steps 1 and 2. You have the worksheets. We're going to have the instructions. You should be able to do these. You can do it also, I should say this, you can do this by yourself, but it is best to do it with a buddy if you can find somebody, because then you'll have that experience of camaraderie and you'll also have somebody to stimulate you and feed back what they've heard. And then also accountability. Okay, so step 2, actually after you've done that, when you're going through, what you're going to do is you're going to write down those highlights on the worksheet. Step 2 is reflect. And what I mean by that is, what is my current reality? Where am I right now? Check in. Healthy body, my weight, my height, my BMI, my pant size, my dress size. What's my well-being score? If you're a coach, you guys know how to use the well-being score from our Optavia website or from our worksheet. Basically, you're going to give yourself a score of 1 out of 10 for each of these different areas. And then you're going to write down what your actual score is out of 60. And then anything that's important. What are the top 2 things to work on? And write that down. And then the other thing is your financial snapshot. So your healthy body snapshot, your well-being snapshot, and your financial. So if you have a primary income, I want you to track, what are your hours? How much are you working, and what's your return on investment? What's your return for that time you're putting? Same with Optavia. And if you don't know how to calculate that, you add up your monthly income, which is your 4 weeks plus your weekly income. You divide it by 4, and then divide that by the number of hours you work per week, and that'll give you your dollars per hour. And, Vicki, you were telling me the other day, we were on a coaching call, of how important it was for you to check in and just kind of keep an eye on your income. Could you share that story real quick? Vicki Titi? Let me see if I need to unmute her. Vicki.
I think she said that she was having an asthma problem. That's why she wasn't going to come.
Oh no, poor thing. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what she told me then. She was basically telling me that when she was moving from her other business, and she had actually, a pretty significant income, but it was taking a lot of time, and she never really calculated how much it worked out to be per hour. And so we did that exercise. She worked it out, and ended up, because of all the admin work and all the travel and all the stuff that she had to do to get those speaking gigs and the amount of money she was making, it ended up being not like $1,000 per hour, because she got paid $1,000 to speak an hour. When she added up all the work she had to do to get that gig, it ended up being more like $40 an hour. And then when we did the same thing for her Optavia business, it was like $75 per hour, and she wasn't aware of that. And she goes, wow, I'm only putting in 10, 15 hours a week on Optavia, but 30 hours a week on my speaking business. But Optavia, even at this small income, is doing it. So you need to kind of keep an eye at, you can't improve what you don't measure. So if you're not sure of what your hours that you're working and your return on investment is, you could actually be on that rat race and not even know it. So that's an important distinction, is to kind of keep an eye on your financial snapshot. Are you getting the results that you want? The next part is, and I already have this here, but just go through your trilogy, your all areas of the trilogy: healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances. And I want to say something about current reality. This is Robert Fritz. He's the author of Path of Least Resistance, Your Life as Art. He's been a speaker and a trainer with us for many years. And he has this quote: is, I have found that reality is an acquired taste. Some people are not very good at assessing their current reality. But just like a GPS, if you don't know where you want to go, the destination, and you don't know where you are right now, there's no way you can make the connection. So you have to have those 2 points in reference. Where do you want to go? What's your goal? And where are you right now in relationship to that goal? And you need to hold those things in your mind at all times. Where am I now? What's my goal? Where am I now? What's my goal? That creates tension. So if you go back and you look at your current reality, and you're like me 15 years ago, and your current reality is your health score is low, your financial score is low, your relationship score is low, your spiritual score is low. When your scores are low, you can either get frustrated and throw in the towel, or you can play above the line and you can say, okay, that just gives me more tension because I want this, and this is where I am. So if you're further away, that just builds you more tension. But reality is an acquired taste. You have to have the courage to actually face it. So the second step is really important to get that current reality. Okay, now we're going to have fun. We're going to go into this third step. This is where we get to partner up, and this is where it gets really juicy. The third step is to design your ideal year, your optimal future. So one of the keys to this is to not only create a vision and get clear, but to also experience it and to feel the emotions and to connect with your goals at a gut level. So to get the most out of this exercise, I'm going to ask each of you to play full out. All those in favor of playing full out, say aye. And raise your hand, aye. And what I'm going to tell you is if you do this, I think you'll be blown away. I think it's a magical process. And many of my clients and coaches who've done it with me agree. So you're going to need the tools here to kind of walk you through the process. And then we're going to break into groups. We're going to break into a breakout room. And I'm going to assign you a buddy randomly. So if anyone's driving, you might want to pull over and get ready because we're going to do something where it's going to require you to kind of be present for the next 10 minutes, okay? So here's what we're going to do. You're going to get your tools. You have the worksheet. That's good to have a worksheet in your pen handy. A voice recording device so that you can record this. You're going to go back and do step 2, but we're just going to do step 3 right now. And what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to literally take a step into the future. So if you're standing right here, and this is today, you're going to take a big step into the future, and that's going to represent you stepping from today all the way to December 31st, 2018. And then you're going to look back on that year as it's your best year ever, and you've already completed it, and you're going to describe it to your buddy. So one person, in this you're going to have 2 people in each group. One person is going to step into the future and do the vision process. The other person is going to receive and maybe ask some questions. And what you're going to do is, if you catch, it's very important that you use the right mindset, and that means you're tense. So if you were at the end of 2018, you would be talking about, I had the best year ever. I can't believe I achieved this result. It's going to be in the I will. You're not going to say I will or I want or I'm gonna. You're going to say I have, I did, I accomplished, it's done. You're going to say it. And if you catch yourself saying I'm gonna, stop, take a breath, reorient yourself, and get into the moment of the future. You want to stay in the future and describe it as if it's already happened. And this is a process that goes back through generations. It goes through all the indigenous people have always had vision quests where they go in and they ask spirit to give them guidance, but they open up. And what I want you to do is I want you to be open. I would encourage you to have, to give yourself permission to dream. And here are the questions we're going to ask you to consider, to ponder. What were your biggest achievements and highlights in 2018? Describe your physical health if you're at level 10. Describe your mental health, emotional and spiritual health at level 10. Describe your financial health at level 10. So if you're the coach, you want to have that worksheet available so that you can have those questions handy. And They're a little bit different. There's a coach version that's a little more Optavia oriented, and there's a generic version that's more generic for anyone's business. So whichever version you have, ask that for your buddy, and kind of just move them as they finish describing their optimal financial health at level 10. Say, describe what an optimal day would look like. You woke up in the morning, describe your day. And then when they finish that, describe what your Optavia business looks like. Describe what your optimal career looks like. And then let them describe that. And then this is an important one, G. Ask them, how does it feel? And how has this impacted those you love? And let them talk about the impact that it's had on those around them in their personal life. And these last two ones are actually really good too, is what was your biggest obstacle and how did you overcome it? And where have you grown the most? And you can take notes for them, but the most important thing is if they can record themselves. If you can record yourself, you can capture all this. The last part of this exercise is what we call stop, start, continue. And the idea here is, now that you've looked back on this epic year, what did you have to stop doing that wasn't working? What did you start doing to make it a great year? And what did you continue doing because it was working? And let your coach know what those things that you stop, start, continue are, because those can come in really handy when it goes to setting your goals. All right, so you're going to, after you record it, you're going to come back and put it on this worksheet. But for now, I just want you to stand in the current reality. When you're ready, take a deep breath, step 1 year into the future, and then your coach will ask you those questions. You need to describe your year as if it's already happened. Get your recording going. When it's done, stop the recording, switch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a warning. I'm going to give you a 5-minute warning. Each person has 5 minutes to do this. And actually what I'll do is I'll post in the chat the questions in case anyone needs them. Because once we go into breakout rooms, you'll only be with your buddy. You won't be with anyone else, and you won't be able to see my screen. So I'm going to set you up for Teams. Do you have a question, Stephanie?
Voice messaging again.
Can you start over? You were not completely muted.
How to get to the voice messaging again?
Oh, on the iPhone?
Yeah, I have a smartphone.
Who has another phone? What kind of phone do you have, Stephanie?
A Galaxy.
That is David Spiegelman. David.
Yeah. Actually, if you go to the, I know that for the Galaxies, there's an app that you can download. It takes like no time. It's from Samsung. It's called the Samsung Voice Recorder. You have to go to the Play Store and get it, but it won't take you more than a few seconds.
Okay.
Is there another way to do it? Does anyone have another tricky way to do it if somebody doesn't have an app on their phone?
Greg, I'm going to recommend, if the technology's an issue for people, just do the exercise. You can always go back and record, because that's what I find, that people get hung up on the technology and then they don't accomplish. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right, Dee, because we've done this many, many times without a recording device. And you know what? You'll probably end up having so much fun doing this. You might go back and redo it. How many of you have done this many times? Can I see a show of hands? How many of you have done this many times? Quite a few people. Awesome. All right. So I need to just let you know that I don't have the ability to get you with anyone particular. It's going to be completely random. When I put you guys in these breakout sessions, you're just going to get whooped up with a buddy. And there's nothing I can do. If you are, if for some reason it's not working and you need to be reassigned, you can actually, I can get with you. You can raise your hand and I can find you and I can help you. But I'm going to set everyone into a breakout room right now. I'm going to give you a minute or two to get set. I'm going to give you 1 minute to get settled in, and then I'm going to start the timer. And for the first minute, I need you to figure out who's going to go first, who's going to be who's going to do the vision, and who's going to be the coach. And then I'm going to give you a 5-minute warning, and then you got to switch. And then I'm going to give you another warning, and then it's going to close the meeting. Not the meeting, we're going to close the breakout rooms, and we'll all come back to this main room in just about 10 minutes, maybe 11 minutes, okay? All right, here we go. I'm putting you guys in the breakout rooms. Have fun. 5 minutes each. Go through the questions. and have fun and give yourself permission to dream.
Can you Greg, hey.
Hey, Vicki.
Hey, Greg. My person's not answering. I don't know who it is. It's by phone.
All right. Hello. Is anyone there? 858-337-6611. Are you there? If not,
That's what I said.
Reassign you.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to reassign you. Hold on. All right, go back to breakout.
Happy everything to you.
Happy everything to you too. You know, if oh, here I have one for you.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
Who's this?
Hello. This is Bill Miller.
Oh, hey, Bill. Are you ready to jump in?
I didn't know how to unmute.
Oh, okay, you did it. All right, good. So could you hear her the whole time?
I did hear her, but I knew it was a 6, but
all right.
Yeah, I didn't know
exactly. Let me move you to another room real quick. Actually, I'm going to move someone into your room. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to put you in room 3. I think you need to hit accept.
Hi. Hey, my guy, he like went off. So I'm over here doing my own talking to myself. Do we have a new guy?
You do. His name is Bill.
You're a new guy.
What's your name, hon?
Bill Miller.
Hi, Bill. Thank you, Greg.
All right. Hey, Christine, did no one show up for you?
No, I wasn't sure if someone was on the call, just like on a phone. So I just kind of recapped my best year ever, 2018.
Oh, good. You already started it. Good.
Well, yeah, I had fun with it. Yeah, so it was fun.
I'm looking here if there's anyone that is. Yeah, you know what? D. Garcia needs somebody. How about I put you in with D?
Oh, that would be perfect. Yeah.
Okay, let me see.
Thank you.
What room are we in now? We're in room 10, okay? So I got to find
room 10. I'm going to mute myself real quick here. Get rid of my birds chirping.
Okay. 21. Okay, and put you in room 21. Hello, you need some help?
Hi, Greg. Yeah, I'm just struggling. Mary hasn't responded, so I'm not sure if she's actually part of the room still.
Oh, okay. She must not be on the call. Let me find another room for you. Hold on, okay?
Thank you.
You're going to have to go a little bit faster, unfortunately, because you lost a little bit of time here. But let's see what we can do to get this going for you. Here we go. Room 19. I'm going to put you in there. Room 19 with Joe, okay?
All right, thank you.
All right, here we go.